Hey kids, it's Mrs. Davis here at home, and I'm bringing you yet another math lesson. Yeah, our focus for the last several sessions has been time on the hour. Let's review some of our time words. Time, hour, clock. Two different kinds of clocks that we're working with, analog and digital. Another name for an analog clock is face. And when we're thinking about our analog clock, we're thinking about some special parts that help us understand what we're seeing. A long hand and a short hand. The long hand is reading the minutes. And then the short hand is telling us what hour. And we're getting familiar with the word o'clock, which means time on the hour. So the focus of our last lesson was to be able to match Mrs. Davis's time on her analog clock. We also were looking at reading the hour with the word o'clock and making that time. And then we even moved into reading a digital clock and making an analog match with our little mini clocks. So today we're going to have a little warm-up activity. I'm going to be holding up a card. It'll either be the digital card or it will be the card with the time, the hour, and then the word o'clock. And then what I would like you to do on your little mini clock at home, I want you to warm up a little bit, get familiar, get yourself practiced on reading these times. I'm not going to say the time out loud. I'm just going to flash you the card and I'm going to let you read it and make time on the hour on your face clock, your mini face clock. And don't forget to go clockwise with those hands. Okay, here we go. This is the first time that I want you to make on your little face clock. This is the hour and then the minutes. And remember, one more little reminder, when you're putting your time, remember that the minute hand is not pointing at the 12, it's actually going past there to read those minutes. So just remember that when you're making time. This digital clock doesn't say 10:12. It says 10 o'clock. So just remember that. Okay, here's your next one. This is the hour, o'clock. All right. The next hour. This is a digital time. Put your hour hand here. You know where to put the minute hand. All right, the hour is this. No minutes have ticked because it's o'clock. How are you doing? Is it getting easy to make time on the hour with your analog clock? All right, blank o'clock. Okay. Remember, this is just a little warm-up activity that we're doing to refresh ourselves. Oh, I love this time on the hour. This one should be pretty easy for you. You know what I used to call a no-brainer. Our next time on the hour, this hour, no minutes have ticked because it's o'clock. All right, here we go. Blank o'clock. You're making time on your little mini analog clock at home. I know you're doing fantastic. You're becoming a time expert. Digital time, this is the hour. No minutes because it's a brand new baby spanking hour. Our next time, blank o'clock. You make it on your analog clock. All right, now we just have a couple more to go. The hour, o'clock. Blank o'clock. Digital time. This is the hour separated from the minutes. And because it's time on the hour, no minutes have ticked yet because it's a brand new hour. And then our final practice with your little mini clock. This hour, o'clock. All right, time experts, how did you do? I know you had a great warm-up session. Now, you need to go grab your spiral and a pencil and look around the house for that circle that we've been using when we were working on our fractional parts. Go ahead and look for that circle or find a circle shape, because we are going to be working in our writer's notebook or our math notebook as it is today, and we're going to be showing time in 3 ways. All right, hopefully you got all of your items ready. I'm ready to go with mine. Now, I've already prepared my spiral. I'm just going to lift off the little latch there, and I put the date that I'm working on this, and then I put a title here, time on the hour. I want you to do that as well. You're going to put the current date whenever you're working on this. And then that circle shape, that whole circle, I just grabbed this one that I have on my board here. I want you to trace, lay it down, hold it, and trace it. And that's exactly what I did. I just laid that flat and then held it and then traced around the edge of that. All right, that's going to be for our analog clock. So I went ahead and labeled that analog clock. Okay, then down at the bottom, I just drew a rectangle shape because some digital clocks are shaped like rectangles. And then I drew a little box inside of that box, more of a square shape, because that's going to be a little window that's going to show the hour. And then I drew 2 dots on top of each other because that's the space in between the hour and the minutes. And then I finally drew another little window. That's going to be where we're going to put the minutes. And I did not label that one, so I'm going to go ahead and label it right away. And I'm going to write digital clock above that. Okay. You know, when you're a time expert, you have to be able to read time on different devices, analog, digital, and then finally, you might see the word o'clock, and then the hour is going to go in this blank line when we write in the time. We're going to be representing an hour in 3 different ways. Now, this should be fun. I'm going to give you a little shortcut, if you please. If you ever have to draw an analog clock, I've got just the strategy for you. I'm thinking of fractions, fractional pieces, because fractions and time, they go together really well. I'm thinking about my whole clock, and then I'm going to be using half to help me put in my numbers, my first 2 numbers. I'm going to find the center of this circle, and I'm going to put the 12 at the top, because I know when I'm looking at this shape, this whole clock, in the middle, if I were to imagine a vertical straight line, I would find the center of that circle. That's where the 12 is going to be located. So I'm going to go ahead and write my first number in, and it's going to be 12. I'm going to write it right at the top. I'm going to write the 12 at the top. And that would be the center of that circle if I was going to draw a line and cut that circle in half. And then I know if I had that imaginary line and it went straight down, guess what's at the bottom? Lined up, the 6. So if I'm thinking about half of my whole clock, I can just go straight down and write that 6 at the bottom. That's the way I like to think. These fractional parts of a circle, of a whole circle, I can now half it. Now, I wonder what I'm going to do next. Can you guess? I'm thinking about fractions. Yeah, I'm going to go here in a horizontal way. Now I'm thinking about fourths. And I'm spying on this clock that in the center, if I were going to draw a horizontal straight line and come up with fourths, I would be drawing my 9 and straight across my 3. So I'm going to use that kind of space to help me when I draw in my next 2 numbers. So I'm going to go in the middle of that circle. If I were going to draw that straight line, I would put my 9 here and my 3 straight across. That's a great strategy. What do you guys think? All right, now filling in the other numbers should be a little bit easier. So we're going to be putting in between the 12 and the 3. You got it. 1, 2. Now here's where it gets just a little bit tricky. You've got a space in between each number. So you've got this much of a section and this little quarter piece right here, and you're going to be writing a 1 and a 2. So I'm going to space over from the 12, and I'm going to write a 1, and then I'm going to write a 2, and then I'm going to fill those in. 12, 1, 2, 3. My 2 is a little bit close to my 3, so I'm going to move it up just a smidge. I'm going to actually move my 1 just a smidge, and that's why using your pencil is helpful, because then you can erase and rearrange. Now I'm going to be going 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, I'm going to space the 4 and the 5 in a way so that they're separated in a good little way, not too close to the other numbers and then not too far away. All right. I've got half of my clock already made. Amazing. Now I'm going to do the other half. And I'm going to fill in 6, 7, 8, 9. I've already got my 9 there. So just a little ways after the 6. A little bit of space in between the 7 and the 9. And now I've got 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you know what I still need to fill in? 10 and 11. Now that's the way to make an analog clock. All right, now I've got all of my numbers in position, thinking about fractions to help me find the just right space on that. Now in the center of my circle, I'm going to draw a circle, and that's going to be like the gear, because you know, with an analog clock, there's definitely some moving parts. You've got to have gears that actually help and hold those hands and move those hands so that they actually can tick. So we're going to put that little gear there. And then we're going to eventually be writing putting those hands to show time on the hour. Now I'm thinking about a really easy time that I kind of like to start with. And we're going to actually start with the, on the bottom, we're going to start with the o'clock. So let me pull up my model. Yeah, we're going to start with 4 o'clock. And we've already got o'clock, so I'm just going to write 4 here. I don't have to write 0, 0 because o'clock, the word, means time on the hour. So that one's easy. Just write 4, and then you've already got o'clock. So that's an easy start right there. Remember, we're going to be putting 4 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the digital time. All right, now I'm going to move over to the digital time, because that again is a pretty easy model to fill in because you're using digits, digital clock, right? So in the first box, we're going to write the hour, which is 4. We've already got the space with the dot, dot, okay? And then we're going to fill in the minutes with 0, 0. Remember, we talked about it's important to put those 2 zeros because eventually as time ticks on and the hour is moving on, there will be 2-digit numbers filling up that window to show as time is moving forward. So we're going to write 0 and 0. Now, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock in a digital fashion. Okay, let's tackle this. We can do it. Now we're going to be drawing the hands. We're going to be drawing the long hand to show the minutes on the analog clock, the O clock. It's long. When you draw this hand, and I'm going to draw it too, I'm going to go all the way through that 12 because remember, it's not reading the 12. It's reading the space above that hour, which is where the minutes are ticking. Okay, so we're going to go all the way through. Now, I like to stay pretty simple when I'm drawing my hands. I'm just going to use a straight line, and I'm going to start at the little gear here, and I'm just going to draw a straight line, and I'm going to go all the way into the 12. Because when I see my teaching clock here, that minute hand just goes all the way through because it's really reading at the top above it, the 0, 0. Okay? And then I want to do the shorthand. The shorthand needs to be shorter than this minute hand, the hour hand. And now this teaching clock, actually, let me go to 4 o'clock so we can see what that looks like. This little teaching clock goes a little bit further than I like to draw mine. And this one's good because it's actually almost to the 4, but it's not going through the 4. It's shorter. So I like to do, when I'm drawing it, I like to bring it almost to the hour, but not touching the hour. So I'm going to go ahead, and this one's going to have to be a diagonal or a slanted because it's going to have to slant over. And I'm directly at the hour of 4. Okay, so long hand and then the short hand. All right, so look at our models. We have 4 o'clock written with the analog, the O clock, and then the digital time. Wow, that was really fun. I like being able to know how to read all the different ways that I might see time represented. Now, here's what I want you to do, what I want you to work on your own. We still need a little more practice with those hands. I'm sure I put in your packet number 3 this timesheet. There's actually 2 with robots, so make sure you've grabbed this one. And at the top it says it's that time again, and there's a space for your name. You can also put the date that you're working on this. The first direction says read the time, because in each one of the little hands of the robots there is a digital clock and a digital time. So you're going to have to read that. And all of these clocks are saying o'clock. They're all time on the hour. And then your second job, after you read the times, it says draw the hands on the clock. So you're going to be making the analog clock complete by drawing the hands. So this first one, I'm going to do one with you or for you as a model. This first one says 2 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead, and I found the middle with that little gear. I'm going to draw that minute hand, and I like to draw just a straight line. I like to keep it very simple. And I went straight up past that 12. And then I'm going to find the hour of 2. And again, because 2, the number 2 is sort of in a way on that clock that I have to use a diagonal, and I'm going to point straight to that hour of 2. So now there's a match. 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, you have 9 actually. I did one that's a freebie for you. All right, you've got some work to do, and I know you're going to do fantastic. So work on drawing the hands on your analog clocks so that your analog clock and your digital clock will be a match. And work hard to tell time on the hour. And something else you can do, look around your house. Spy for time. See how many different places in your house there are clocks. Find the digital clocks. See if you have any analog clocks. I want you to be timekeepers and time spiers. All right, get busy spying for time and writing time and reading time. Okay, until our next session, have a good one.